Ordinarily, I'm not the biggest fan of Winnie the Pooh episodes that are more fantasy based, where we see their imaginative play in a more fantasy realm. But actually, with A Night to Remember, I rather enjoyed it. This is the 7th episode of the 3rd season of The New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. It's a double feature, it takes up the entire episode. And to begin with, it was very slow. It took a long time to get anywhere. And I was thinking, does this really need to be a double feature? But once it finally got underway, I was kind of glad that it was. It's a very stormy day outside, so Winnie the Pooh and the gang are unable to play outside, and they're very bored. So they decide to go up to the attic. And when they're there, they find a chessboard and some chess pieces. And they decide that the only way they can play chess is if they play the pieces. And to quote Tigger, you are what you can't find. So they play the pieces that they were trying to look for. And, well, Piglet in particular is very nervous. He doesn't really want to do this. He's very scared and he doesn't think he's going to be the knight. But Piglet is an interesting character, and to cast him as the brave knight, well, I won't say exactly what happens with him, but I thought it was rather sweet. And honestly, the design of the kingdom where they end up going to is great. I love the checkered hills. I thought they looked brilliant. The design of the castle I loved. I love King Pooh's outfit. Everybody's outfits were great. I do have a couple of questions though. Why was Rabbit a wizard? I tried to Google it to see if maybe there was a cultural difference with the character of wizards in chess, but all I'm getting is Harry Potter wizard chess. So if anybody knows anything about that, please let me know. But I've never heard of a wizard in chess before. I don't know if it's the name of a different piece or something, or a different name for a piece. Please feel free to let me know. But I loved Rabbit's character and the way he kept changing into different things. It meant visually it was really creative and really interesting to look at. And the costumes all looked really brilliant. The only thing I didn't like was Tigger repeatedly, incessantly, constantly pronouncing it knight, and it drove me insane. I get it's a good way to teach children that that kind of knight is spelled with a K. But you don't need to do it 1,000 times over. And it really bothered me. But I did love the fact he was playing the Bish Hop. That's not my joke. That's the joke from the show, which I thought was pretty good. I think all of the characters suited the roles they played, and it was an interesting choice for Piglet, who looked... Actually, his costume was the most boring because it was the least colourful, but it did look pretty good. So I rather liked it. I didn't think I would because, as I said, I'm not the biggest fan of these kind of more fantasy-based episodes. I prefer the ones that are just set in the 100-acre wood where there's no kind of, well, not so much no imaginative play, but where we don't get to see things come to life around them, as it were. But I enjoyed it. Maybe it'll make a child interested in playing chess. I learned chess at quite a young age. From a friend of mine, a neighbour, a former neighbour. And I still play chess. I'm not necessarily great at it. I'm alright, but I'm still confused about the wizard, and I really want to know why there was a wizard. And I'm sure Rabbit called in a magician. I might have misheard that, but I'm sure he said a magician at the beginning. So there were a few things that confused me, and I don't know if it's like an American versus English thing. Please feel free to let me know if you know anything about what I'm talking about. But other than that, I thought it was a really delightful episode. Once the slow pacing picked up and it got going, I could see why it was a double feature. And at the end of the day, I thought it was well animated, a fun narrative, could get some children interested in chess. Definitely not a bad episode at all.